Hi, I'm Noah Bombard, and here's what's happening in the ET Newsroom Tuesday, April 6th. Now, it's been nearly a year and a half since the hit-and-run case of Jonathan McHugh, a 26-year-old who was struck and killed outside the Clatta pub in Lawrence. Now, the driver of the vehicle was identified, but he was never indicted. Police say they thoroughly investigated the case, brought the evidence to the grand jury, but the grand jury did not produce an indictment for the driver. Now, a year and a half later, one of McHugh's friends is actually pushing for police to reopen this case. Story in today's Eagle-Tribune by Jill Harmasinski looks at the case of McHugh and the evidence that they have against the driver, as well as the likelihood that this case may be reopened. Now, this is kind of a precursor to a story we're working on, a larger scope, looking at unsolved cases of hit and runs. There's been a number over the years of people who have been struck and killed, either unsolved or in this case where the person was not actually indicted or charged with a crime. So you can check out the story of Jonathan McHugh online right now and check for that story of unsolved crimes coming up next week. Now, it's hard to believe with all the rain and flooding that's been in the news for the past month that we'd be talking about brush fire season, but in fact it is here. There's a story in today's paper talking about brush fire season in New Hampshire. We've got another story coming out early on this week about brush fires in Massachusetts. Now, even though we had all that rain and moisture, the sun that we've had over the last week beating down, the warm weather, the lack of leaves, that means that sun can get to the ground, leaves a lot of the ground really dry. Now, you throw on top of that the twigs and leaves that have been left over from winter, and officials say it's really a high time for brush fires. We have a follow-up today on the disturbing story of Craig Mulgrave, the man who was accused of stabbing his wife to death back in February. Now, he was in court and indicted yesterday. He's expected to be back in court today. Now, the story behind this couple is that his wife, Christine, actually met him while she was vacationing in Jamaica. It was kind of a whirlwind romance. The two got married and eventually moved here to Haverhill. Family and friends say that they weren't aware of any problems up until the night of the killing, when the wife actually went to a friend and confided that there had been some arguments and she felt like she needed to get out. Now, the evidence against Mr. Mulgrave is actually pretty strong. When police received the 911 call from the wife saying that she was being stabbed, they arrived at the residence and found Craig Mulgrave standing at the door with a bloody knife in his hand, and he told police, "I just killed my wife." Just a reminder that we're going to be covering the hearing of Lawrence Superintendent Wilfredo LaBoy on Thursday live. You'll be able to watch that online. Keep your eyes open for that. And just a reminder, as always, that all these stories and a lot more can be found at eagletribune.com right now.